This is an historic moment. Joe Biden has destroyed the Democratic coalition. So the question is, since we have only two political parties, how are Republican leaders responding to this fact, to this opportunity? Are they making the case for a better way? Are they offering an alternative to what the Democrats have brought this country? No, they're not. They're doing something you never would have expected. Republican leaders are siding with Joe Biden. At the very moment that Joe Biden is at his weakest, months before a pivotal midterm election, Republicans are propping him up. They are saving Biden from himself. Since the day Biden was elected, Republicans in Washington have taken Biden's side on virtually every significant item in his policy agenda. That would include COVID restrictions, vaccine mandates, transgender ideology in schools, sanctions against China, the January 6th charade, free speech, civil liberties, spying by the intel agencies, preserving the big tech monopolies, the anti-white race politics of CRT and Juneteenth, border enforcement and energy policy, and above all, the administration's signature issue, its lunatic and reckless support for the war in Ukraine. Republicans are all in. It's called Kyiv now. That's the Republican message heading into the midterm elections. It's called Kyiv. And by the way, this isn't just happening in Washington. It is endemic among the leaders of solidly Republican states. In fact, the more Republican the state, the more liberal the governor tends to be. The governor of Texas, which has some of the biggest oil and gas deposits in the world, has decided to build windmills that don't work. The governor of Utah, a state where Joe Biden got 37% of the vote, that governor begins conversations by announcing his preferred pronouns. He really does. Watch.
Well, thank you so much, Gabby, for that question. And my preferred pronouns are he, him, and his. So thank you for sharing yours with me.
It goes on and on and on. The governor of South Dakota, where Joe Biden got 35% of the total vote less than 2 years ago. That governor tried to let female impersonators destroy women's sports in South Dakota. In Texas, both senators can't stop talking about how great Juneteenth is. In Arkansas, one of the most conservative states in the country, the governor supports the chemical castration of children.
The most recent action of the General Assembly, while well-intended, is off course, and I must veto House Bill 1570.
And just like that, a bill to restrict children under 18 from receiving chemical treatments or having surgery for gender reassignment has been stopped. The governor said this bill is government overreach.
Interfering by the state in a parent, in a child, in a doctor-patient relationship did not make sense to me.
When you vote Republican in Arkansas, you're voting for the castration of children. How many Republican voters in Arkansas knew that when they voted for their Republican governor? But it's everywhere. Apart from Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, very few Republican office holders are pushing back in any way against anything Joe Biden is doing. In fact, they're abetting what he's doing. Effectively, they're coming to Joe Biden's rescue. Why are they doing this? Why do you think they're doing it? Because fundamentally, they're on Joe Biden's side. Whatever stylistic differences Republicans in Washington may have with Democrats, and there are some, in the end, Mitch McConnell has far more in common with Chuck Schumer than he does with your average Republican voter. Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer are united in their fear of populism and in their gut-level loathing of the American public. And they're not alone. What Washington fears most is democracy, that is, letting voters have what they want. That's not allowed. Republicans and Democrats have formed a uniparty specifically to prevent it. You see this everywhere, but you see it most clearly in the gun control legislation that's in the Senate right now.